Well, good evening everyone. I thought I'd let y'all ride along with me on troubleshooting this Sony CRF-V21. Now, you know, we had one of these in the shop, and we still have it in the shop, that has a bad display in it, and it's got circuit boards that are in terrible shape from leaky capacitors. So I figured we'd go ahead and take this one today. We might not get into the repair, and we might just tear it down and troubleshoot and see if we can figure out what's going on. But this is Mel's second CRF V21, and it's not worked from day one since he bought it, so I figured we'd go ahead and just tear it down together and do a little troubleshooting. So we'll take the front panel off. That way we can get a look at it here. And you can see it's a very nice looking unit. These things are just well built as far as construction. Now I'm going to go ahead and tell you, if you have a problem with tearing down equipment, this is something you may not want to do yourself. You know, it's a lot of plastic on the case, a lot of metal construction inside, tons of screws and wire harnesses, and everything is kind of tight. But the problem with this one is that Mel said when he goes to power it up, it automatically turns back off. So I've already got a feeling what it is. But let's just, my concern is how bad is it. So I've got the power supply over here already plugged into the wall, and we're going to take the battery adapter, run it back here behind it, and insert it into the battery slot over here on the left hand side, and you just push it into it, clicks. This now puts power to the unit. The good thing about working on this is that I don't have to tell you about playing with mains voltage. As long as you're not going into the power supply, there is no mains voltage in this unit, so no risk of getting electrocuted, so that's a good thing. Anyway, I'll turn the power on. I saw the green light come on and then automatically went back out. I don't know if y'all can see that in the camera or not. We'll do it again. Green light comes on, goes right back out. Now the little clock display is illuminated, so that tells me part of the circuit is working. And I doubt y'all will be able to see this in the camera, but let me shut this light here off. And this big overhead light. I can see it for a brief moment. The screen comes up, and what I can go ahead and tell you is the screen looked good. Like I say, there's hardly any backlight on this screen, and that's why they have this little fold out light that comes up so you can put light onto it, but that's going to reflect in the camera and you're not going to be able to see it. So that already tells me that the display in this unit looked like it's in pretty good shape. I saw no lines across it. I saw the whole display come on, so that's a good thing. So where do we go now? Well, we'll turn this little thing around, take the power away from it, and start moving a ton of screws so we can get down into it. Okay, we'll go ahead and start removing the screws. And like I say, there's a ton of screws in it. Not really that many in the back. But once we get inside, you will find a whole lot of screws. Alrighty. Come on. Got to open a little door on the side. Right here on the back is the main board. This is where the power is going to come from, the power supply board, and up here. And we'll take this off and we'll look and see if we see any leaking capacitors that's actually physically leaking fluid onto the board. We saw that in the other unit, but my main concern is back here in the back. There's a another board right back here behind this one. That is the 76 megahertz unit, and it also has some capacitors that go bad and will cause this thing not to power up. But what I'm going to do first is pull this piece of tape, disconnect these cables here so I can move the case out of the way. Now be warned that these two connectors here are identical. They just got different color wires on them. They will plug into either one, so remember where the correct cable came from. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and pull the screws out of this unit, and I'll do that off cam. Okay, all the screws is out of that. We can pull this shield off. And now we can take a look at the board. Now this is where the main power comes into the unit, right over here. And we can get a look at these surface mount electrolytics in here. Well, I've gotten in here and looked, and surprisingly none of these surface mount caps appear to be physically leaking its fluid outside. Now, you know, in the other board that we looked at, this cap right here had leaked, and someone had replaced it with a full-size capacitor, and all the circuit traces was gone, and a lot of these up here was leaking and has eaten the traces off. This one, I'm seeing no signs of any physical leaking. They're all looking pretty good. So right here we have a regulator here, and then we have our 8-volt regulator over here. And what we want to do is get power back on this thing and check this 8-volt regulator and this 5-volt regulator and see if any power is coming up. So let me get that set up for us. Okay, so I'm going to come here to this, this is actually not a regulator but the power switch transistor. We're going to check. And we have 8.2 volts on that side and 8.7 on this side. And we'll go here to our regulator. Just want to check it. I'll go here and find the power switch. I'm guessing y'all can see the voltmeter. We'll go here. And we saw 7.7 volts on one side. and those 8.4 volts, so that's our supply and that's our output. So you see we are getting voltage coming through here and feeding the 5-volt regulator, but as soon as it powers up it shuts right back down, and you'll see this on the voltmeter. You see that voltmeter come up and go right back down. Yep, shuts right back off. Okay, now the fun part. We need to get behind this main board and check out the 76 megahertz board, and that's where the a lot of regulation is going on at. But I do believe that's where we're going to find the problem. So to get into that, what I'm going to do is go ahead and disconnect the power supply. I'll leave it wired up to it, shouldn't be no problem. But all we need to do is remove 1, 2, 3, 4 screws, and this should fold down. And no, that is not the heat you hear running. It is actually 79 degrees today. Now here in the shop I have no windows, and the front door is 2 rooms over, so I'm having to run the air conditioning at the 1st of February. That's just crazy. Okay, yep. I think I've missed one. Right over here. Okay, all the screws are out. Should be able to lift this right out. Pick it up and set the bottom of it inside. And that should sit there just nicely. Now as you remember, I did warn you that there's a lot of screws and a lot of cabling going on here. And you can see just that. So this is all 76 megahertz unit. And what I'm going to have to do is remove all these screws around this so we can gain access to the inside of it. I'll do that off cam. Okay, all those screws are removed. We'll pull this little cover off. Now, if you go online, if you own one of these and you go online and you're looking for information on repairing them, good luck with that. Chances are you're not going to find anything. At least I haven't seen that much. Now I can tell you someone has been in here before, because I'm looking at these wires right here and they have been pinched. Little yellow wire there, looks like it's almost pinched in two. Oh, come on camera. This wire right here. Is that what's causing the problem? I don't know. We'll have to look at that and see. I don't think it is. I think what we're going to find that's causing the problem is going to be these right here. And these are 4 capacitors, and they're in parallel on this rail here. And then there's one little capacitor up here. There's about 80 of these surface mount capacitors in this unit to start with. And I was talking with Mike on the phone, Mike at Mike's Radio Repair, and you know, I've got these little cheap Chinese ESR, you know, multifunction component testers. And one thing that I do not own, which I'd love to get one, is a in-circuit ESR meter. You know, something like the Bob Parker Blue meter or the Peak Atlas or something. You know, I do not own one of those, and reason being is I usually don't just check capacitors, I replace them because they all go bad somewhere down the road. But in this case, having one of them would be nice, so we could check each capacitor and, you know, find out exactly which one is causing the fault. Because, you know, we could pull these 4 capacitors out and replace them, and that's still not fix it, you know. So yeah, I would like to get my hands on one of those one day. In fact, I'm thinking about go ahead and getting one, but we'll see how that goes. These little cheap ones, you know, they work pretty good, but they don't work that good for in-circuit testing. And there's that yellow wire that was pinched. You can see a little bit of insulation hanging off, but it didn't get the wire, so that doesn't appear to be the problem. Which would be, you know, logical. If they would have took it apart and found that, then it wouldn't be on my bench if that was the problem. So anyway, I need to go ahead and I'll hook these back up, and we'll go ahead and test for some voltage over here. Okay, so I'm in here looking, and I said before I didn't see no signs of leaking capacitors, and I did not see anything on the main board. But here on this board, it's, I mean, just looking at it, you know, you don't really see anything. But something caught my eye a while ago, and what caught my eye is some dark looking traces. If you look right down in here, you can see there's little traces that come up and then kick over to the right. I know it was going to go out of focus. And you can also see these traces between these capacitors here and there. That looks like sign of leakage. Now let me get the microscope on it so you can see it a little better. Okay, I'm going to go in there with the microscope. And yeah, I think you can see what I was referring to now. You can see that solder trace right here where that capacitor is soldered to. Does not look good at all. And you can see where the little mouse is pointing at, just how bad that looks. And you can also see some right down there at the bottom of that cap. And you see where that one's leaked a little bit on those little surface mount components. So it looks to me like the best thing to do is go ahead and snatch them caps out of there and see, can't we clean that area up. Alright, so with that I'm going to go ahead and get these removed and see, can't we clean this up. As you can see in the microscope, it did look kind of bad. A lot of times with just a naked eye that you cannot see. So we'll go ahead and get those caps out. So as you can see here on the board, I got the radio laying flat down on the sponge here on the bench, and just got the main unit hanging off the side. Now I could go ahead and remove this whole unit, which you know, just about another 8 or 9 screws to get it out. The problem is there's a ribbon cable on the other side of this, and to get this ribbon cable back in you have to take the front panel off. So I'm going to try to work on it laying here, and there's no way I can get the camera in there for y'all can see without pulling this unit out, and I really don't want to pull that unit out at this moment. Okay, I have them old caps out right there. And as you can see, the circuit tracers are not completely eaten up, but they weren't looking good. And the last capacitor here, I took it right out with my fingers, and that was this cap right here. I just reached down and grabbed it and pulled it right off the board. Luckily, all the circuit tracers are still there. Now these are 4 100 microfarad at 6.3 volts on that reel, and it's just 2 traces there. As you can see, there's one long trace, and you can see the one long trace is right here on the top, and then the ground trace that goes across. So I'm going to have to get the microscope in there and look at this real good and get that cleaned up. And I think we're going to go on something different with capacitors in there for right now, just for testing purposes. So there's a close-up view of that rail there, and you can see where these capacitors has leaked all over. You see this shiny copper over here, which took the solder mask off, and you can see there's actually some liquid right there. Yeah, so I got to clean all this up, clean up these solder pads, and hopefully this might make it come back to life. Well, you guys can see we might have got this one in the right time. I still got to clean up around here, and you can see all back in there. It's got to be cleaned up. Probably gonna have to take the board out anyway and scrape all this stuff off and get it good and clean. But it looks like those 2 tracks, that via there in the middle looks good. Those stitching holes don't look too good. You can see the vias what's stitched through, but yeah, that's the cap that came right off. But I think those 2 traces are okay. In fact, they're checking okay with the ohm meter. Yeah, you can see all that gunk down in there. You know, so I'm going to have to take this board out and give it a good bath and clean all this mess off. You can see all that stuff around those resistor and capacitor there. But at least now we might be getting somewhere. Okay, just for testing purposes, remember there was 4 capacitors in here. They were all 100 microfarad each at 35 volts. So 100 times 4 is 400. That was 400 microfarads, because these capacitors are in parallel. What I've done was soldered in 2 220 microfarads at 50 volts each across the terminals. So that gives us our little over 400 microfarad, but should be close enough to test and see if this helps bring this unit back to life. So let me go ahead and get everything. I'm not going to put the shields back on. I'm just going to get the panel picked up and set up there, and we'll give it a test and see what it does. Okay guys, I just plugged the power cord in. I got the unit sitting back in there. There's no screws or nothing in it holding it, but it should be okay. And we can now go ahead and power it on, or at least attempt to power it on and see what it does. Now, if y'all noticed that I did not go to the schematic on this, and there's reasons for that. Now, if I could have went to the schematic, you know, that would help y'all to understand a little more. Unfortunately, the service manuals that I downloaded are missing pages, and the board layout is completely unreadable. The schematic looks pretty good, but there's just so many of them. And you know, I've worked on enough of these myself. I kind of know where to go. I said before, you will not find a lot of information on the internet on repairing these, and most of what has been put on the internet is like in the Yahoo groups, and it's not shared in open forums or anything. And I don't know why it's such a secret squirrel type of information, but you know, I am the member of one Yahoo group, and that's the Yazoo FT101 group, but I'm no member of any of the other groups, and because I feel like sharing information should be freely and for everyone. So that's why I did, you know, just didn't bother going to the schematic on this. I knew about where to go to look at this because I have seen this already so many times. Anyway, enough yakking. Let's get this thing powered on, and I'm going to move the camera so there's not such a glare on the screen. Well, it doesn't matter where I move it, there's still a glare on the screen. It's very reflective. Okay, here we go. Let me zoom in here on the power switch. Oh, what's this I hear? We hear noise. And look on the screen. We have a display. Let me see if I can move this light so that make the screen a little brighter. Like I said, I've never been impressed with the way that they did this screen on these. But I do like these radios, and they're roughly about $4,000. I have seen them up as high as $6,000. A lot of money for a radio. This one looks to be, as far as cosmetic, if I had to go, you know, 1 to 10 as far as cosmetic, I would give this one 11. That's how nice this unit looks. Okay, I zoomed out. What I'm going to do is connect an antenna up.
$500 off. On 17 Regals, we have up to $11,250. This is ridiculous. $11,250 off. On the 17 Enclaves, we have up to $6,500 off. And on the 17 Encore,
that's on one of the local stations, 1070 on the AM dial.
For you, and we're the ones that
I don't have much of an antenna hooked up. Let's try 14. Well, I do know that the printer does work. I just tested it off and listened to some RTTY, but the signals are not the best. But at least to verify that the printer does work. Okay guys, so the next step now is to take both boards out and strip out all the capacitors and put all new caps in it, and check everything, you know, go through all the controls and clean them and get everything up and, you know, like it's supposed to be. And I guess we'll do that in part 2. Like I say, just wanted to troubleshoot it today, find out what all it needed, and if we were able to get it back up and running. And as you can see, that was no problem. We went right directly to the problem and solved the issue, and went ahead and solved that. And like I say, no, we didn't use a schematic. Yes, it was from experience, but you will not find that on the internet anywhere that I've been able to find. I have looked and looked and looked, and there's nothing on the internet about this issue. I've seen many questions about people's got these and they will not power up. Well, that's why. Those little surface mount capacitors on the 76 megahertz board is what caused that issue. So yeah, 4 little capacitors. Now like I said, there's about 80 capacitors in this radio, and it's going to take a while to sit down and replace all those and then do a complete alignment and tuning on this unit. So stick around, be looking for part 2 of this unit to come out. It's going to be sometime in the future. Won't be probably within the next couple of weeks or so, but yeah, keep your eyes open for that. Several more videos I've already got ready. I just got to edit them, get them up. Been very busy here in the shop, been very busy at work, a lot of time being taken up there. And my grandkids should be here very shortly, and I'm going to spend the rest of the day with them. So until then, you know, click the show more tab for links to the website and contact information and stuff, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye now.